basically what we're going to talk about now is what's happening over in China.
Yeah.
And that is the ban on playing online games for more than 3 hours per week. We're reading from CNBC, so that we're kind of starting from an actual news source as opposed to some random board article. The reason that we wanted to talk about this is because it brings up a couple of things. One, it brings up the attempt of some governing body to regulate what could considerably be harmful, but it also begs the question is how much is too much and how little is too little. If you don't know what we're talking about, if you've been either living under a rock or don't care for the news at all, China has instituted basically a hard cutoff time for people under the age of 18, where they cannot play an online game for more than 3 hours per week. So that would be like playing League of Legends or playing Overwatch with your friends online or playing an MMO, etc., etc., etc. And this has a number of people in an uproar. There are some that are saying regulation of any kind like this by a governing body is a terrible idea. There are others saying that some level of Overwatch is necessary because of the problems that it can cause. Now, I want to get this out right now. My personal, and I won't speak for Teal, my personal belief is that a government should not regulate your personal life. I believe in that very strongly. So before we go any further and I say the however, I want to make sure that y'all all understand. I do not think that a government should ever regulate your personal life. Teal, do you have a similar or different position?
Yeah, I have a similar perspective. I do. The government should only step in if something is very lethal, exceedingly harmful.
Right. And
despite your best efforts to mitigate it, if something is harmful, then the government should step in.
And here is the however, because this actually builds off of what Wrath just said. Go ahead and read what Wrath says while I drink this.
So Wrath says they think China did this to prevent people from dying of exhaustion or going broke.
Right. So, having said that, I do believe that there needs to be not so much interventions, and again, not by a government, but there needs to be studies into the addictive properties of video games, specifically online ones. People who push themselves to exhaustion, sometimes into the hospital or an early grave. People who cause themselves physical harm by playing too much game. Well, again, I don't think that there should be a regulation on it, but I do think it's something that we need to take very seriously, not just in the industry, not just as developers, but as compassionate good people, because this is happening. This is happening not just in China, but all over the world. And the article goes basically into, what it is that the Communist Party is doing, the party, as they call themselves,
right?
What it is they're trying to do, and how they're basically going to punish the game companies if the game companies don't find ways to limit it. They're putting it on everybody. They're putting it on the game company. They're putting it on the parents. They're putting it on the ISPs, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Everyone is being required to follow this.
I do want to point this out. I know the title of that article said online games, but the party is targeting all games, whether it's on or offline.
They are?
Yeah.
Okay. I did not know that. From the article that I've been reading, it is just online games. If they're targeting all games.
Well, they're targeting all games.
Okay. But the ban is only on.
The ban right now is on online because that's easier for them to stop.
Okay.
Because they control the internet and the access.
They do.
So they can very easily stop that.
They do. China's government has a stranglehold on access of their citizens to the internet and where the internet can and cannot go.
Exactly.
However, again, let's just go back to the spirit of the thing. Again, I don't agree with what China's doing, but I do want to say that we have to recognize that there is a problem in general with people playing games too much, too long, and some people, when they become addicted, can drive themselves to physical exhaustion or harm.
Yeah.
And we need to be aware of that. We can't just say it's, well, it's their responsibility. It's their responsibility because games are being made to become that addictive. Look at MMOs. People will play MMOs for hours upon hours upon hours.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to defend what China's doing, but I understand why they're doing it. Because a person who's sinking all this time into video games to the exclusion of other stuff, they're not productive. They're not productive.
True.
They're not contributing usefully to society either through their work or through education or schooling or interaction. They're not contributing. They're taking.
Right.
So I do understand from that perspective the desire to regulate this.
Well, right, and you can understand something without condoning it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I can see where they're coming from. I don't agree with the way they're doing it. So the games are shutting off. That's what we're saying here in chat. New games are going to shut themselves off after 3 hours. Some are saying 1 hour a day, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and holidays, stuff like that. Okay, so they're being very regulatory.
Yeah.
Really super regulatory. And here's the, I think, is that the same article?
Mm-hmm.
Whoopsie, let me bring up the other one. There's another article. Oh, it's this article over here. I printed it up twice. That is hilarious. So I don't actually have the Reuters article in front of me. Let's see if I can accidentally...
Let's see if you can access it.
There we go. Boom, Reuters.
Yay!
I like Reuters. Reuters is one of my favorite news outlets to go to. That and AP. Yay, Associated Press.
So, Raz, when you say, because I haven't dug too deeply into this, Steele has, when you say that new games are going to shut themselves off after 3 hours, now, is that online games or offline games being coded to shut off? Is it possible?
Of course you can, yes. Oh, you can have a game close out.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So,
you can easily write code to do that.
Then that targets all games, not just online games.
Well, right.
It targets everything.
And again, I'm not trying to dissect what China's law is and how it's going to work. All I want to say is that they are making it so that it's on the game design level as well as the ISP, the parents, the companies, etc. Right. Everyone has to comply or the party crushes you.
Right.
That's how China works.
Okay, so Rathia, a lot of articles say just online though. Well, it's not going to stop with just online.
Yeah.
If you can code a game, because you can, to shut off after 3 hours, and then whether your game is sent through a streaming service where you download it once and play it, or it's on a hard disk,
right? You
can code it. So that will be the next step.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So before we continue, Moogle Rampage brought up a great point. He says, interesting that there's no consideration regarding some of the related factors like gold farming, gambling, etc. I also wonder why they're making exceptions for their esports teams. Well, the second part is easy. Esport teams are going to make China popular. They promote the party, and it gets money for China and gets them exposure. In other words, it helps the country.
Yeah. So esports teams are going to continue to be supported, I feel pretty sure.
Yeah.
By the party because they're sponsored.
And that goes over back to what Teal is saying. Okay. Teal was saying that if you're not productive, that's a problem.
Yeah.
Well, esports is a job. And being on China's esports teams is a job. So that is their contribution to society. Again, when you have a government that is built like that, you're going to be very much, if you're not contributing, then you don't belong.
Right. All right.
Yeah. But I want to talk about Moogle Rampage's first point.
Okay.
I'm going to reread it. Interesting that there's no consideration regarding some of the related factors like gold farming, gambling, etc. That is, in many ways, trying to create a cure for something excuse me, let me start over again, and I need to hiccup. Okay, let me start over. That right there is attempting to sell a solution to a problem that was created. Look at it like this. Gold farming, online gambling in games like auction houses.
Yeah.
These are all features that are built by the game developer. The game developer created these. And because the game developer created these using the gameplay loop, the dopamine release loop, the Skinner box as we like to call it.
Skinner box.
The player is going to fall into playing that. The gold farming, the gambling, the node farming, the crafting over and over again.
Yeah.
And each time you craft, your crafting score gets a little higher. These are things built into the game. These are on a design level. And it has caused, over time, unsurprisingly, a level of addiction in the players. You know, players are expecting in an MMO that they have to gold farm, that they have to skill farm. And because they do that, you know, they have to play for like hours and hours and hours. They play for hours and hours and hours. So now at this point, they are, the party is creating... wow.
Oh, thank you for the...
Yeah, thank you for the sub.
Sub, BG.
Thank you. But yeah, so at this point, the party is saying, well, that's... games shouldn't be developed that way. You're creating an environment where our citizens are getting addicted and becoming, you know, unproductive, and they're suffering from harm.
Yeah.
So we're going to have your game shut off. So again, I don't condone what the Communist Party in China is doing. I don't condone it at all. But I can understand how they would look at what's happening and say, well, the game studios are causing this, so we need to fix it because they won't.
Yeah.
Now, gold farming as a job is different. You can do that with like bots and stuff.
You can do that with bots.
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with gold farming in an MMO as a job. So, but I would assume that is something they're taking into consideration. Maybe they don't even look at it as being useful. Maybe they look at gold farming and going, no, that's still a waste of time because you're feeding into a negative that was created by the game studio.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing. It might be a big income source. I know that the black market for online items and online games is a massive income source.
Yeah, it is.
And it's gotten to the point where people inside of game studios are actually hacking into their own games and using their admin keys to sell items on the black market and make a little scratch on the side, and that's terrible because we've suddenly turned into the black market from Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, or Raiders of the Lost Ark, now being a real thing that you can get with an IP address. So
yeah. Hey, Nate.
Good to see you, Nate.
Yeah, the ESRB does consider Pokemon gambling. It was...
It truly is.
Okay, yeah.
FIFA, surprise mechanics.
Yeah.
Bullshit. It's a loot box. It's gambling.
It's loot box.
Yeah, Wrath, you've never heard us say Skinner box. We've mentioned Skinner box many times in our cautionary videos and cautionary live streams about how addictive games can become.
Yeah.
I can go a very brief overview of that. Oh, KV. Hey, KV showed up early. And
yeah, KV's there, yeah.
Hey, KV, it's good to see you, bud. China did have a major crackdown on crypto mining.
Yeah, they did
recently.
on crypto mining, absolutely.
Sure
yes. Yes.
So before we go any further, quick thing, Skinner boxes like this. It all goes to the dopamine release cycle, which is whenever you presented with the opportunity to do something and you do it, and you feel that you've overcome some kind of an obstacle, the reward you get is a small release of dopamine in your brain that gives you a happy feeling.
Yeah.
Game companies have learned over the years how to exploit that in order to make massive amounts of money at the expense of people's health and fortunes.
Yeah.
That's the Skinner box. It's based off of an old experiment done by a man named Skinner where he had a rat tap a pedal to get cheese. Look it up. Okay. McBacon said, I hear in Chinese prisons they use gold farming in some cases. I have no idea.
I don't know.
I don't know
that, yeah.
That is well outside the scope of anything I'm willing to talk about online in this channel because I'm fairly certain that's going to get political real fast. Burke says, no, it considers Pokemon in-game gambling with in-game coins with no extra expense to the player gambling, and FIFA Unlimited team is still kid-friendly. Are they kidding me?
Yeah.
I have so many negative things I could say about FIFA, it's not even funny. I could literally take out the rest of this stream with rants against that BS.